in this lesson, we're going to start looking at the extra parts for the task 1A. These parts are not written on the score, and so far I've found two that are quite prominent, and that is this little riff and a kind of a laser sound effect. So we're going to start with the riff. How I kind of work these parts out, because they're not written on the score, I listen to the track, and every time I hear the part that's not on the score, and for instance this one, I was just listening for this riff sound, so every time I hear a sound that's not on the score, I make a placeholder. So basically all I do is right click, press create empty MIDI region, and then just put a little placeholder in that covers the area that the actual sound that I'm hearing is in place. And I won't input any of the notes until I've done this all the way through. So as you can see, I've found this riff in 4 different places. I'm hearing this as a completely repeated section. After I play this in the first time, it seems to me like it's always just the same, okay? That being said, if you hear it differently, remember your opinion counts, and make sure that you create these parts as you hear it. With all the best will in the world, people do make mistakes, me included. So with all the best will in the world, I've put these in and I'm hearing it in 4 different places, and I'm hearing it as this kind of repeated section. It's quite a basic sound. I can hear this as a kind of a clarinet sound. So what I've done is I've gone to the orchestral sounds, instruments, and then I've come over to the woodwinds, and then I've just chosen this clarinet solo. I have had to change this sound because there's quite a high pitch frequency in there. So what I've done to the EXS24 is I've just come in to the cutoff region and the resonance, and I've just tweaked these ever so slightly. Actually, I had to turn them on because they were turned off, but I've tweaked them ever so slightly to give that kind of high pitch shriek sound as well. I wasn't hearing it an octave higher, but there was certainly, those frequencies had been enhanced, so that's why I came into it and adjusted the cutoff. Once again, I will give these screenshots below the video, so please feel free to have a look at them and make your tweaks as you feel fit. So I'm hearing it around this C5 area. Like I said before, I did play this in. It seems like a very nice part to play in live, and it was really easy to play in, so I see no reason why you guys couldn't at least attempt that. In order to play it in, I did listen to this loop several times, so I turned on my loop area, and I just kept going over and over and over, practicing and playing it at the same time. And when I was ready, I just pressed the record button and I gave it a couple of times until I got it right. So yeah, give it a chance. One thing I do like to do is kind of balance the actual sound with my sound. So straight away I heard that this is quite low, so I turned this down, and I also turned the actual track down so I could hear what I was playing. So I'm hearing this quite low. I'm hearing it slightly off into the right speaker, and I'm also hearing it with a bit more reverb, so I've actually turned the reverbs up as well. I haven't done anything to the EQ apart from what I did with the cutoff and resonance, okay, so that's effectively an EQ adjustment. Okay, so let's hear what I've got so far. This is the sound. Now if I mute the track and just play what I've got, see what you reckon. Okay, let me play it on its own so you can hear it a bit clearer as well. Okay, that's how I'm hearing it. So let's play it with the actual track to see if you agree with that. And once again, you'll be able to hear it clearer on your own track, of course, so make sure you do lots of referencing. And a lot of what I've done here, because it's played in, all of these kind of adjustments with where it's positioned and the actual velocity levels have all been done for me, which is really nice. And that's something you do get from playing in. One thing you should also do is quantize it where necessary. Be very careful with quantizing, but where necessary you should have a look at quantizing it if it does go out of the loop. That's pretty much all I have to say about that riff part. Once again, for my ears, it sounds exactly the same for each of these. But if you disagree with that, by all means, you should be looking at it through your own ears and making sure. One thing I also do, just before I sign off, is make sure you play the riff with the actual track as well, so you can hear it. And what you can do is, I know this is where I want to put it in the mix, but when I'm listening to it with the track, I just boost it up ever so slightly so I can hear it over the top and make sure it sounds right. Okay, and that's a good way. Another way in which is you can obviously watch the piano roll and just make sure you got all the phrasing right as well whilst you play this track. Okay, have fun with that one, and then we'll look at the laser sound effects next.